There have been multiple NASA whistleblowers, such as Carl Wolf, a former United States Air Force sergeant, and Ken Johnston, a former NASA contractor, who have come forward and testified under penalty of perjury that they saw photographic evidence of alien structures on the far side of the moon. These accounts have all been hearsay, and there has not been concrete, undeniable evidence of alien bases on the moon. But where there's smoke, there's fire. And there is so much smoke surrounding everything NASA and the United States government has done related to the moon that you can barely breathe anymore. When I was young, I dreamt of exploring the stars. I never imagined that my final journey would be to share a dark secret with you today. My name is Commander Julian Harris. You've probably never heard of me before. I was part of the Apollo 20 mission, a mission that was never supposed to exist. Now, with only months left to live, I want to reveal the truth about what we found on the far side of the moon. I'm not sure if anyone will believe me, but I'll be gone soon and my troubles will be over. I'm going to be better able to rest in peace, knowing I'm not going to my grave with this story. So, many years ago, in 1976, I was standing on the moon's desolate surface with my 3 fellow astronauts, Jim, Sarah, and Mike. Publicly, the Apollo missions had been terminated just over a few years earlier, but secretly, this was actually the last Apollo mission, for a horrifying reason I'm about to reveal. We were excited, but nervous. No amount of training can take all the nervousness away when you do something as complicated and dangerous as visiting the moon itself. Our job was exploring an uncharted area on the far side of the moon due to an anomaly. Because of the anomaly, our mission was top secret, known only to a handful of people at NASA, and what I can only describe as them. If you think NASA is the one really in charge of what they do, or even the United States government for that matter, you have been greatly misled in ways I cannot begin to explain. I can only describe them as them because I have no idea who they were. What I'm talking about is the strange people in suits and ties, escorted by futuristic-looking security guards that oversaw the entire mission and ordered around our bosses at NASA. Anytime I tried to ask my superiors who they were, they just gave me a look and said nothing in a way that told me I better not ask any more questions. But what was disturbing about these strange people is I'm pretty sure they were wearing some kind of highly advanced prosthetic technology to conceal their identities. You could barely spot it, but something was off about their faces. And then the guards themselves, they were armed with weapons we've never seen before. But this is all stuff for another story. I just mentioned it so you understand why so few have ever talked about this mission. Yeah, I know there's some whistleblowers out there who know some vague details, but no one has spoken about the specifics in the way I'm about to. Now, you know why. The people in the suits had us scared for our lives. This is the last part I'll tell you, and it's hard to even speak the words because it was so terrifying. They told us plainly that if we ever talked, we would be dead before we could finish our sentence. Well, the doctors told me I have weeks left to live anyway because of this cancer, so we'll see if 48 years later they can still make good on that threat. Sorry to keep you waiting here on the juicy details. I admit I'm a lonely old man now. I don't get to talk often. But let me get you to the juicy stuff. I hope you forgive me. NASA and the United States government had discovered strange artificial signals coming from beneath the moon's surface. Our goal was simple: find their source. We landed in the South Pole Atkin Basin, a place untouched by sunlight for billions of years. We needed state-of-the-art suits and other tech just to keep us alive in that frigid environment. The landscape was hauntingly beautiful, with long shadows cast by the sharp craters. Our equipment showed us that something was buried deep below the ground, so we started to dig, all eager to uncover the mystery. After hard days of work, we hit something. Metal. We cleared away that spot, and then we found an entrance to what appeared to be an ancient alien base, lost beneath the surface of the moon for God knows how long. We were in shock, but the adrenaline kicked in and we kept going. The structure was immense, and it was covered in strange symbols and designs that all glowed faintly. The airlock was even still functional. We saw it as a testament to the advanced technology of the builders. Inside, the base was eerily silent. Our flashlights revealed long corridors lined with rooms filled with all kinds of unknown machinery and artifacts. It was like stepping into a tomb, because that's what it was. The further we explored, the more we felt a growing sense of dread. The walls seemed to close in on us, and a cold, unnatural wind whispered through the halls. As we ventured deeper, we found a large chamber with what looked like stasis pods. Inside them were the remains of beings unlike anything we had ever seen. Tall, slender, and what seemed to be fragile, elongated skulls. They had obviously died long ago, and it was clear that something terrible had happened here. We all started to feel uneasy at what we were looking at. In that room, we found the source of the signal. It was some kind of large device, and it was still pulsating with a faint blue light. As we approached it, it seemed to suddenly activate. Before any of us could react, Jim touched the device. We screamed at him, and he apologized and said he could not help himself. The device seemed to start reactivating the base, in particular, some kind of ventilation system. Suddenly, from vents in the room and across the base, a cloud of fine, shimmering dust started flowing down from the ceiling. We tried to retreat, but it was too late. The dust enveloped us, penetrating our suits. Jim collapsed first, and his body started twisting and contorting with spasms. Sarah and Mike tried to help, but they too fell, and they started clutching their throats. I felt a searing pain as the dust entered my lungs. Every breath burned. My vision started blurring, and I thought I was going to die. Then, everything went black. I have no idea how long I was out, but when I woke up, my crewmates were dead on the floor next to me. It seemed they had succumbed to this strange dust. When I finally regained my strength, I stood up. I was alone. I gathered my courage and limped back to the lunar module, leaving my friends behind in that cursed place. I could only radio back to command after I got out of the base. They told me to get back to Earth if I could. I barely made it back to Earth. NASA, of course, buried the mission and classified it as a failure due to equipment malfunction. They didn't want the world to know about the deadly alien virus or the fate of my crewmates. They kept me in isolation for actual years. They ran every conceivable test that you could think of, but they couldn't find anything wrong with me, other than that it seemed like my body had just fought off a powerful virus and was in a weakened state. None of it made sense to anyone. When they finally felt okay to release me, they put me in a sort of witness protection program, but for people who have worked on secret government missions of massive importance. I am close to death now, and I'm telling you that's what happened. But now, with this so-called terminal cancer ravaging my body, I understand the truth. You see, my local doctors, of course, don't know my history, but here is what is actually the terrifying part of all this. They have never seen my type of cancer before. They are just assuming it's some kind of rare type, but I know that's not what it is. Because ever since they released me after the mission, I've been hearing voices in my head, some kind of strange alien dialect. The dust didn't kill me because it had a purpose. I think it is transforming me into a carrier. Maybe it is a weapon, or maybe an alien life form, more powerful than the aliens in that base. I can feel it inside. I can feel it inside, slowly eating away at me. Its whisper grows louder every day. I fear that I carried a piece of that ancient evil back to Earth. I cannot keep this secret any longer. The world must know about the dangers lurking in the cosmos. The alien base, the dust, and the fate of Apollo 20 must not be forgotten. I hope that by sharing my story, the people in the suits will show up again and kill me and destroy this virus or alien or whatever it is inside me. Please hurry. I don't think there's much time left.